It's just another ordinary Monday morning in Manila. A group of 21 tourists from Hong Kong is boarding a Thai travel service bus at the historic Fort Santiago. Like every day of the Philippines tour, the itinerary is set, the bags are packed, and they are preparing for their evening flight home. Little do they know that at this very moment, events are set in motion that will lead to one of the most agonizing televised tragedies in modern history. Just outside the bus at Fort Santiago, a man in camouflage police uniform approaches. Tourists in Manila are used to see armed security, but this is different. This man is carrying an M16 assault rifle, and he is about to trigger a chain of events that will shatter the relationship between the Philippines, Hong Kong, and China for years to come.
The final assault began after shots were heard inside from the dismissed policeman holding the tourists hostage.
Pinned to the windscreen, demands for his reinstatement to the force, with a threat to kill the hostages if that was not agreed.
The Philippines hostage drama has turned deadly.
Police in the Philippines are defending the way they handled a hostage crisis in which 8 tourists were killed.
The man asked for a free ride. The driver, Alberto Luban, sensing something is wrong, politely declines. But it is already too late. Without warning, the armed man orders the passengers to follow his instruction and declares them his hostages. The man boarding the bus is Rolando Mendoza. By the time the doors lock behind him, the 25 people on board are entirely cut off from the outside world. Mendoza is not a typical terrorist. He's a 55-year-old former senior inspector, once honored as one of the top 10 police officers in the country. But today, he isn't here to protect and serve. He has been dismissed from the force over allegation of extortion, stripped of his badge, and denied his retirement benefits. To himself, he is a victim of the corrupt bureaucracy. He believes the system has destroyed his life. The tourists are initially confused. Some people think it's a security drill or a local prank. But when Mendoza declares that they are his hostages and confiscates their phones, chaos takes over. Now, they need to stay calm and hope the authority outside know what they are doing. Because if they don't, the worst-case scenario looms. A desperate, heavily armed man trapped in a metal tube with innocent families. Mendoza orders the curtains closed, and tells Luban to drive to the Quirino grandstand at Rizal Park. By 10 a.m., the bus is positioned in front of the grandstand, a site typically reserved for presidential inaugurations. Mendoza handcuffed the driver to the steering wheel, ensuring he cannot escape. He taped a handwritten sign to the windshield of the bus. Big mistake to correct a big wrong decision. Outside the bus, the Manila Police District start building a perimeter. Police negotiators, Colonel Orlando Yabra and Major Romeo Salvador, are tasked with talking him down. Mendoza has only one demand: to be reinstated to the police service. He claims innocence, insisting he has been repeatedly ignored by the Office of Ombudsman. He tells the negotiators, "I will voluntarily surrender with handcuffs on if his badge is returned." The situation is incredibly tense, but everything appears to be somewhat stable early on. Mendoza is surprisingly cooperative. He releases an elderly woman, a mother with young children, and a diabetic man. He even asked the police to provide food for the remaining hostages. For a brief moment, everyone is up a bit. The negotiators believe Mendoza just won a platform to clear his name. They think he will eventually surrender once he feels hurt. But the morning was just the beginning. As the hours drag on, the outside world takes stock of the situation. News crews flock to Rizal Park. Thousands of cameras are pointing directly at the bus. The hijacking is now being broadcast live across the Philippines and Hong Kong, and more importantly, it is being broadcast on a tour bus, with the television providing Mendoza with a live feed of the police every move. He can see the snipers, he can see the command center, he can see exactly what happened outside the windows. Amidst the growing chaos, Mendoza's brother, Gregorio, also a police officer, arrives at the scene. Initially there to help, Gregorio is found to be carrying a concealed handgun. The police disarm him right in front of the bus. Later, a letter arrives from the Office of the Ombudsman regarding Mendoza's case. Throughout the afternoon, negotiators try to pacify Mendoza with the promise that his case will be reviewed. But the letter they deliver is a bureaucratic non-answer. It doesn't reinstate him. It merely promises to re-evaluate his dismissal. When Mendoza reads it, he feels entirely abandoned. The people at the top don't seem to grasp the gravity of the situation. Mendoza considers the letter an insult. Inside the bus, the atmosphere grows darker. The sun begins to set and the torrential evening rain starts to fall. As the negotiation between Yebra and Mendoza concludes for the afternoon, Mendoza asks a chilling question. Did they already return my brother's firearm? Yebra, attempting to maintain the peace, answers, yes. It is a lie. Gregorio reveals the truth. The gun is still with the police. This betrayal enrages Mendoza. His trust in his former colleagues is shattered. Back at the scene, the police move to arrest Gregorio for bringing a firearm to a hostage scene conspiracy and disrupting negotiations. The media cameras turn toward the struggle. The police tackle Gregorio to the ground, handcuffing him as his family screams in protest. Inside the bus, Mendoza is watching every second of this violent arrest live on the television. The psychological snap is instantaneous. He's watching his own family being brutalized by the very institution he's fighting against. He fires a warning shot. He gets on the radio and issues an ultimatum. If you don't release him, I will kill the hostages. He faces an impossible mental breaking point, and the police have just pushed him over the edge. The situation spirals out of control. Mendoza opens fire. Gunshots echo across Rizal Park. The Filipino bus driver, who had been tied to the steering wheel, manages to break free. He forces open a window, leaps out of the bus, and spins towards the police line in absolute terror. He screams to the officer. Everyone is dead, he shot them all. It is a false report born of pure panic, but for the commanders on the ground, it is the spark that lights the fuse. Behind the scene, the Manila police SWAT team has been rehearsing. They practice a rescue operation using a similar bus as a prop. Meanwhile, the elite Special Action Force arrives, positioning sniper across the grandstand. The police prepare for the most dangerous operation yet. Surprisingly, Ground Commander General Matabey bypasses the elite SAF and ordered the Manila SWAT team to conduct the operation, despite their lack of equipment. They have no explosive breaching charges. They have no specialized entry equipment. A group of officers, armed only with their rifles and a sledgehammer, surround the vehicle. The men push forward through the pouring rain. They try to smash the windows, but they are using standard sledgehammers against tempered commercial safety glass, material specifically designed to withstand heavy impact without shattering. The hammers simply bounce off. The tactical oversight is staggering. They are physically unable to penetrate the perimeter they have surrounded. They try to pull the door open by tying a rope to the police vehicle, but the rope snaps. For over an hour, the world watches live on TV as an elite police unit fails to break in a stationary vehicle. At 8:16 p.m., the team used a ladder to reach the emergency exit at the rear of the bus, which they have successfully opened. But Mendoza is waiting. As the first officer steps into the bus, Mendoza opens fire. He launches a 4-shot volley directly at the officer. The bullets slam into the ballistic shield with terrifying force. The officer is forced to retreat immediately, and the entry attempt stalls. It is a moment of pure tactical paralysis. Finally, the Special Action Force is allowed to take over. A new plan is formulated. Flush Mendoza toward the front. The SAF throw tear gas canister into the bus. Inside the bus, the hostages are trapped in a suffocating nightmare of smoke, darkness, and flying bullets. Choking and blind, Mendoza stumbles towards the windshield. The snipers, scattered across the grandstand, finally see a move. At 8:41 p.m., a single sniper shot to the head kills Rolando Mendoza instantly. The 11-hour standoff is finally over. The police slowly climb into the bullet-riddled vehicle, but the relief is instantly replaced by horror. The blood-soaked interior of the bus is a truly apocalyptic sight. 8 tourists from Hong Kong are dead. 7 others are severely injured. Survivors are carried out on resters, weeping in shock. The images of the carnage shake the Philippines and the rest of the world, and they stir an immediate furious backlash. In Hong Kong, the outrage is palpable. Thousands rally in the streets demanding justice and accountability. Just days after the massacre, Hong Kong announces a black outbound travel alert for the Philippines, effectively severing tourism ties for years. The fallout was not just tactical, but deeply political. On August 23, 2011, the first anniversary of the tragedy, then-President Benigno Aquino III firmly refused to issue an official apology. It wasn't until April 12, 2018 that President Rodrigo Duterte, during a visit to Hong Kong, finally broke the silence to formally apologize. More than a decade has passed since the Manila hostage crisis, and the situation's legacy is still a massive wound. The Philippine authorities faced harsh criticism during and after the disaster. They were accused of extreme negligence and a total lack of tactical training. A subsequent investigation found that the tragedy could have been prevented at multiple stages. The negotiators failed to pacify Mendoza. The police command was absent. The media acted recklessly, broadcasting tactical movement live to a man with a television. It took several years and changes in government leadership to uncover the full extent of the human error, eventually leading to a formal apology from the Philippine government to the families of the victims. But the victims' families have paid a much bigger price. To this day, the memory of that bus in Resort Park is a dark stain on international relations. Some survivors have never fully recovered from the trauma, their trust permanently broken. The disaster was a perfect storm of systemic failure, and it proved that an ordinary day can turn into an inescapable nightmare. Thank you for watching.